Hello, so today I want to talk about all the books, everything I've been enjoying, like recap of August and September. For the month of September, I have read all these books. So let's talk about the first one, which is Legends and Lattes. This is a very fun, like cozy fantasy. It's the most popular cozy fantasy book out there. Yeah, I really have had a fun time with it. It's like about making coffee and doing business with like fantasy creatures. So yeah, I do recommend it. It's a really fun time to read it during fall. It's a perfect time to read the prequel. It's called Bookshop and Bone Dust. So yeah, I would recommend it. I give it a 4 stars. The next book I read is The Childhood's End by Arthur C. Clarke. It was like, it has very highs and then it got like kind of boring and then it got really good. It's like first contact with aliens. Like, aliens come into, they're called overlords, and they like fix all the problems with humanity, with all the different religions and all the different countries. They unify them, but humans are afraid of overlords because they think they will control them. As you read the novel, more and more it gets clear of like what's actually happening, and in the end that happens, and it's really cool and I love the ending of it. I also gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. Okay, so the next book I read is Small Things Like This by Claire Keegan. So this is a really short, thought-provoking novel about like family, about saving people. It's like a really fall-coded book. It's like set in Christmas in like 1980s, and the movie is coming out in November and I'm really excited to watch it. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Highly recommend it. The next book I read is The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. So this is a coming of age, kind of like set in the 90s of book about like Charlie, who is like struggling with grief, who's struggling with growing up, of being a teenager, of being in love. And it's a really good insight into what it feels like to grow up and like to be a teenager and the specifics of it. Unfortunately, I do think that I read it a little bit later in my life. If I would read it when I was like 14 or 13 or 14, this would have hit more hard. It has some great quotes in it, and yeah, it was a really good book. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. Next one on the list is Oversea and Under Stone. So this is like a kids adventure fantasy series. So this is the first in like a 5-part series. Didn't really like enjoy it basically because I tried to read this in like one day, and I tried to like binge it. A lot of detail, a lot of development like went past my head. The atmosphere was great. So this is about like a group of kids who discover this secret treasure map, trying to find this secret treasure by solving some riddles along with their uncle, and some dark forces are trying to stop them. It was a fun time. I don't think I'll continue it right now because other books I want to read right now. I give it a 3 out of 5 stars. And the final book I complete is Happy Place by Emily Henry. So this is a romance. I didn't really love it as much as book lover. I didn't really relate with Win and Harriet, and the biggest reason why was they had a friend group, because I'm a very introverted person, so I don't really go out and have party with like my friends. It has the Emily Henry sauce in it, which is very fun writing, very like humorous writing. It's funny at some time, kind of gets emotional at sometimes. Yeah, so it was hard for me to relate to personally, but I had a fun time. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. The book I read for September is the first one. So I read some books for the Booker Prizes. So when the long list was out and not the short list was out. So yeah, that was a fun time. So this book was shortlisted for the International Booker Prize. It didn't win, but I still love this book. It's called The Details by, I'm not pronouncing the first name, I don't know how to. The Details is about this narrator who has gotten some virus, and they're down with a fever, and they're remembering their past, their life, all the experiences they had with their friends, with their mother, with their father, and with their lover. So this has 4 stories, and 3 out of 4 stories are my like 5 out of 5 amazing, my favorite. They hit really hard. It's written beautifully. There's like so many quotes. Like I just got this book. I just got this paperback, and I cannot wait to go there and like underline all my favorite lines, which I did on my Kindle, and like annotate it. And it's just, I'm so glad I have this copy. It's such a good book. Please read it. It's really small. It's a 5 out of 5 star for me. Initially I gave it a 4.5, but it's just a gem that I want people to read, and if giving it a 5 stars makes people to read it, that's good, because such a good book. It's such a good book. The next book I read Wild Houses, which is by Colin Barrett, and that book has grown on me a lot. Actually, I gave it a 4 star, and I still stand by it. It's a 4 star. Like this book, I have learned a really important lesson from it about like anxiety, and how to like fight anxiety, and how to like be better with anxiety. And this follows character Dave, who gets panic attack often, and he unfortunately is in a fickle position where kid named Doll English, who has been kidnapped, and the kidnappers are keeping him in Dave's house, and he gets really panicked about that. So this is a very tense small town character study of Dev and Nikki and Doll and Cillian, Doll's brother, and it was just a really good novel. I didn't expect to like it so much. I'm still giving it a 4 stars. I thought the ending and the looming question, or the main what that novel was trying to say with in terms of like Nikki and Doll, it felt out of place. Like there's like so much happening with like kidnapping and like money and drugs is happening, but like with like Nikki and him and Doll like trying to like think about their relationship, I just didn't really relate it to that. So that's why I'm giving it a 4 out of 5 stars. The next book I read, it's probably one of the best book I read this year, in like my top 10 or top 5, but that is James by Percival Everett. So James is about, it's like a retelling of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain. So you don't need to read Huckleberry Finn, fully enjoy James. You can read it anyway. I haven't read it. I've only read like a summary of it. A lot of people in Google, there's like a summary or like things you need to know before you read James. So I do recommend reading some articles on that. James is about James, who is a black slave in America, trying to protect his life because he was told that he's being sold to another person away from his family. So he tries to run away and goes in journey with Huckleberry Finn, and they both like bond with each other, and they both like talk about the differences between like black and white and racism. It kind of got very violent sexual assault kind of later like turned me off a little bit at the end, because I wasn't expecting it. Yeah, it's a fascinating book and highly recommend it. Just look up the trigger warnings before you read it. So yeah, I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Then I tried to read Orbital, but I DNF'd it because I wasn't really liking it. Orbital by Samantha Harvey also got shortlisted. I don't know if it's gonna win or not, but I definitely didn't really like, just felt empty, like the space it was talking about. But the writing was good. There were like some good metaphors and stuff, but it was too much for me, so I DNF'd it. The next book I read is The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. So this is a really good book really to read around like this time, because it involves ghosts and it involves romance. So it's like a comfy, cozy ghost romance. It's about Florence, who is a ghostwriter for this really popular author, and unfortunately she doesn't want to write romance books anymore. She recently got dumped and kicked out by her boyfriend, and she is lost, and she doesn't really want to believe in romance and doesn't want to write it, but there's a contract that she needs to write it, and if she doesn't, they will sue her. And so yeah, this involves ghosts, this involves a lot of family, how much it means to you, about death, about grief. Honorary 5 star for me. If I had to like bump it down a little bit, because there are some things that don't work. The next book I read was another romance. It's called The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. So this book is on my TBR for way too long, and I was going to throw it away, and not throw it away. I mean, I was going to give it away, but I didn't. I held on to it. Same I read it. I didn't really like it. I only read like a little bit. But this time I went with open mind, and I really came out enjoying it. So it's a YA romance about these two people called Natasha and Daniel, two different cultures clashing and loving each other, and it's about how much you believe in like fate, and in like stars, and in like poetry, and it's just science, and it's just a really beautifully written book. I really enjoy themes of belongingness, of you don't belong somewhere, and how some people can make you belong there, and the ending was kind of a tearjerker. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. Love the cover of it. This book isn't really about romance, it's more about love. I want more books like this, which is more about love than the romance aspect of it, and I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read the third book in the series of Unfortunate Events. I'm slowly going through all the books. This book was a little chilly, a little spooky, good for the times of like fall, but still it was as good as the first and the second book. Another 4 stars. So yeah, these are all the books I read for the last 2 months, and I hope you have gotten some good recommendation. Tell me what you read, what were some of your favorites, and what you're reading right now. I'm currently reading Oathbringer. It's kind of slow, but I'm enjoying it. Please like, subscribe. See you later. Bye bye.
I wish I had smoother skin.
I wish I had a stronger core.
I wish more people liked me.
It's hard for me to open up.